please join us after this from 11:30 to 1. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, I just want to take a quick second to do a few housekeeping items. There's fruit, coffee, juice out in the hall right here, right out these doors, so please help yourself as the morning goes on. Also, if you need to use the restroom, you go out here, make your first left, and then you'll see the men's restroom. And then if you go down the hallway to your right, you'll see the women's restroom. So left, go right for the women's restroom. And if there happens to be an emergency and we need to evacuate, we walk out here and go across the street. And then if we need to, we go across that street. So, I am Chardae Harlin with OKC MED. I am the Supply Chain Resilience and Risk Manager. I've been in supply chain for about 15 years. The majority of that time has been managing supplier relationships. The last about 6 or 7 years, I've done supplier risk. So today we're going to just talk about how to partner with corporations and what to expect when you're trying to do business with larger corporations. Also, feel free to talk, feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions. I love interacting, feedback, so don't feel like you have to say your questions to me. We're going to talk about understanding and approaching corporations, building and maintaining relationships before business begins. That's a very critical part. And then we'll have Greg Jones come and talk about demonstrating value and how to promote your company. And then at the end, we'll meet with Demetra from B&B Catering, who also provided breakfast this morning. And she'll talk about how you can leverage your skills for success. So, first part, know the corporation that you're going to. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. I didn't want to hold you. Give me 2 seconds. I didn't want to hold you. Sorry, though. So, know the operations of your company that you're going to go talk to. Have an idea of the industry. Have an idea of how the company is laid out. Try to get an understanding of the corporate structure. For example, we have an IT department, right? But within the IT department, we have a data analytics group, we have an AI group, and then we also have a cybersecurity group. So know how that corporation is laid out. You can always ask. Find somebody that you can ask. You can do a little research on LinkedIn. Just know about your company. Also, try to understand about the industry, right? Because if OG&E is a public utility, I could almost promise that other utilities might be struggling with the same problems. And then that's a way to solve issues, not just for OG&E, but other utility companies as well, right? And so do research on the industry and know where you're talking about when you go with these companies. Also, this is a very, very important part. Know the procurement needs of the company and how they work. And what I mean by that is, when do they put out budgets? How long is the current contract in place? What are those needs? And it doesn't always mean that not today, it's not always a no, right? So if you meet with a company today, our budgets for 2026 are already in place. You may have a great idea, but we may not have the manpower or the budget today. And if I never talk to you again until 2027, guess what? Our budgets will already be in place for 2028. So know what that lead time is for your type of service. That's a very important question to ask companies when you're networking with them. Know how long the current contracts are in place. And a lot of times, people may not have that answer, but they can find out that answer, right? And then also understanding compliance standards. If you are a cybersecurity company or doing something that involves cybersecurity, know that OG&E and every other company is going to have probably a high need for a high cybersecurity insurance policy. So go do your research and know what that will cost you if you decide to do business with OG&E or any other corporation. They're going to want that information. Also, we require ISN, which is a safety program. If you're going to be doing safety-sensitive work, you're going to need to have ISN. There's a cost and there's a time. You have to make the decision if you want to make that commitment before doing business with OG&E. If you don't, it could prevent you or delay you from getting business with OG&E and other corporations. OGME uses ISIN, there's several other services out there that other companies may use. So a lot of them dominate the industry. So if you want to get in retail or if you want to get oil and gas, find out who the major player is in that industry. Research the industry. Go to industry events. Those are where you will find out the pain points that your companies that you want to work with are having. That's where you will meet people. That's how you'll be able to get in front of people. That's how you can present your company. Definitely invest in going to industry events. And then just focus on reliable partnerships. If you're saying you're gonna do something, do it. Even if it's, hey, I don't have the answer to that, I'm gonna send you a quote, or I'm gonna get those answers to you by the end of the week. Have that to the person by the end of the week, because guess what, I'm not gonna call you and say, hey, you gave me that presentation, and I was wondering what the numbers are. Nobody in the company is gonna call you and ask you for that. It'll be a conversation that was had that never went anywhere. If you don't get that number, that information, that quote, when you said you would, right? So be a reliable person, provide the information you said you provide. Any questions? So this kind of goes along with some of the things I've already mentioned of identifying business needs and opportunities. Ask about what the current processes are and talk about how you can bring the value. Say, I can save you X amount of dollars by doing this. I have saved one of your peers. If you've worked with somebody in the industry already, use 2 case studies. Tell them what you've experienced. Tell them your knowledge in the industry. So identify those needs. Listen to what they're saying. And so you can tailor your proposal to what the company needs. And like I said, a lot of times, a lot of companies in this industry are struggling with the same thing. And then also, you talk about the value. It's not always a dollar value. Maybe you're more expensive, but maybe you're more reliable. Maybe you can get it faster. Maybe you can pivot and give us exactly what we need and then save us money in the long term. So know your value, identify that value, and express that value to the corporation you're speaking with. Any questions?
It says research corporate needs. How would a person, like, who would they contact? Like, what would be the type of person that you contact for this?
So, great question. That's where those industry events come in, right? So if we're going to, so the example I'll use is OGME is a member of EEI, the Edison Electric Institute. Every utility is a member. Most utilities are a member. So when I go there, all utilities have the same issues. You talk to one, a lot of people are experiencing the same, and whether it's delivery times or service issues, a lot of people are experiencing the same thing. So going to those industry events, looking on LinkedIn and setting up a meeting. I have a link in my bio, in my signature on my email that says, book with me, book 15 minutes with me. Anybody can message me, you'll get a link. I will take 15 minutes. That's the way I like to set up time. To me, that's easier than email or going back and forth on when you're available, right? And it's 15 minutes, you can put 2 to 30 minutes. But call people, LinkedIn is always a source. Talk to people who have worked for the company, other suppliers or employees. They don't even have to be in the same department because you know me, I can hook you up with the person that you need to talk to, or I can go ask those questions and get those questions too. If you know any of the other employees in the room, you can ask them the same and they can get you in touch with the right person, right? So just asking the questions, Google, ChatGPT, not always accurate, but a good starting point. Use AI to get, the information that is accurate, and follow up and do some research. And that's the same for like knowing the organization, how the organization is laid out, right? Because if you're talking to somebody and they're not the right person, at least ask them to point you in the right direction to the correct person. And part of my role is making sure that we're getting access to the best suppliers. So in that role, I set up meetings, I host supplier events, and make sure that we have access to the suppliers so that when we do have business opportunities come up, RFPs and RFQs, that people like you guys are included. But you have to be ready when you get that RFP. Right?
That part.
Another question, it's a little bit off topic, but how familiar are you personally with OG&E's tune-up program? You know, their summer tune-up program that they've been doing for about 5-6 years now.
I am not. Is that the high school program? Is that the high school student? Is that the high school student program?
No, it's the, I forget
The
the.
weatherization?
I don't know.
Is it weatherization or energy
Well,
efficiency?
it's not the weatherization program, but it's the, is it the heat? It's a program where OG&E offers OG&E customers a free air conditioning tune-up. Free air
Is it
conditioning
the
tune-up,
weatherization?
you know, throughout the summer. And here, this year, I think was the first year, they kind of split, because they had a residential and a commercial program. They split the two programs. The residential program went to a separate, whole different company. Are y'all familiar with Clear Result?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Clear Result still handling the, commercial side of it. And I had actually been a part of that program for about 5 years straight, and but this year, when they would get in with the tune-up program, with the residential side tune-up program, because like I said, they split it, and I had trouble just getting the information, contact information for the particular company that was handling the residential side of the program. And I was just, maybe later on after this is something I can give you, maybe you can give it, if you know, you happen to know how to contact information for it.
Are you wanting to like work with them as a
Yeah, I want to get back, go get back to doing every summer, doing the OG&E tune-ups for
Okay.
OG&E customers. Like I said, I've been doing it for 5 years, up until they split the program.
Yeah, I mean, the commodity manager, like the supply chain that handles some of that stuff is named Prentice Muse. And so he would be a good contact, but Prentice Muse, M-U-S-E. And so we don't do that, like you said, we're not doing a lot of that work directly, but we could probably help you identify somebody that is doing that or provide some guidance on that.
So Prentice Muse is the contact that over the residential side?
On the supply chain side, he
On the supply chain
he
side.
works with our energy efficiency program. So.
Okay.
And also, while we're talking about that, that's a really good point that, you don't always have to work directly for the corporation. There's always tier 2 possibilities, subcontracts. So we don't do the tune-ups, I'm just going to use this example, we don't do those ourselves. We hire a third party to manage that. And then he's going to reach out to that third party about performing the services, but they'll probably sub some of that out as well. So there's always those tier 2 connections that are so important too. So when you go to these events, these networking events, don't just look at the corporations, look at the suppliers and see across how you can work together. It's not always a competition. I call our other utility companies our peers because we learn from each other. It's very collaborative. So when you work with people, don't think of like, oh, the big companies taking on my business. Find a way to work with them. Find a way to create opportunity there and show them how you can be a partner with them as well. Any other questions? Feel free to.
I have a question. How do we find out about OG&E's community initiatives, like pouring back into the community? You mentioned like youth and stuff like that, and so I want to find out if that's like on a website or anything.
So, we actually have somebody in the house that may be able to assist. She asked about OG&E community initiatives. A lot of our stuff is posted online, but a lot of the stuff that we do is probably not always.
Yeah, like as far as when you say community initiatives, what's an example?
So we service students in the Oklahoma City Public Schools. We address like period poverty, and we have a mentorship program just to work on like workforce development, like within certain fields. And so I noticed like maybe some other nonprofit organizations have had giving out supplies with OG&E bags, and so they kind of let me know that there might be an initiative related to, high school and middle school students,
Okay.
working with the youth.
Yes, okay, so, and thank you for that. So yeah, we do have a community outreach team, and it's split up into education, events, and then we also have a grants and donations and sponsorships section. So what I can do is I can provide you with a link, and you'll fill it out. If you're interested in your organization being a part of or collaborating with OG&E, I can give you the link. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Perfect.
See? Coming today and making connections and learning. And then also, we also have MRGs that do a lot of outreach, so if you need like bodies, member resource groups, so like we call it Black Together or Hospitals Together, which is just anybody can join in, but they're kind of like your, I call it African American Club or LGBTQ Club. And if you ever need, if you want to get in touch with those, we can put you in touch with those too. And a lot of times we do volunteer work together as a group. So if you have an event, you need a handful of volunteers, a large group of volunteers, one of our emergencies to come out, or you can come and speak to all kind of initiatives. Any other questions? All right, now I'm going to talk about navigating vendor registration. If you're a supplier in the room, I'm sure you have filled out a ton of vendor registrations, right? And go to the website, contact us, waiting for a response. So at OG&E, we have, it's on our website, it's oge.com/vendor form, or you can go to oge.com and it's very user-friendly to navigate to. So in that form, and for us and for any other corporation, please always be thorough. Do not put a blurb in there that says, I clean rooms. Put your details in there, put as much information, be as professional as possible. Put your case studies there, attach documents, talk about your job history in the industry. People love when you work with somebody in the industry, right? If you have a proven track record, even if it's as a tier 2 supplier, put that down. People love that. They want to know who you work for and how did it turn out. It's kind of like a job interview, right? And so when you go to oge.com/vendor form, put everything in there. And you may get a call, you may not, but that list is visible to everyone in the company. Everybody in the company has access to that list, and we can search on any keyword. So if I go in there and type in IT consulting, everybody who has IT consulting in their business page will pop up in that list. And that's not only for me, not only for supply chain, but everyone in the company. Sometimes it may feel like a black hole. And sometimes it just takes persistence. You can go in there, and if information has changed, fill it out again. We have supplier events, and that's the first place that I go to look for suppliers to attend those supplier networking events. So fill that out, be as detailed as you can. I have a whole, I wish I could show you my stack of business cards. It is so much more helpful when I have one space to put that in. And that form went live, I believe at the end of last year. And so if you completed any form before that, your information is probably not in the database. But take the time to go fill that out. And then also, I'll just as a follow-up, you can always, like for me, and I would think this is possible too for other companies, is that you could call and say, hey, do you have my registration information? I know this is just a potential supplier. Does not mean you're now a qualified supplier for OG&E or that corporation. This is to give us insight that you exist, so that when I am looking for someone in your field, we have access to you. So when you fill that out, it may be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 5 years. But we want to make sure that information is accurate and updated. So I always complete that. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier about knowing the requirements and be ready to meet them. So if you are doing maintenance work and you need to have the appropriate insurance, you need to have safety, be ready to meet those needs. Now understand what that looks like. Also, know what the acronyms are. Does everybody know what an RFP or RFQ is? Has anybody submitted an RFP or an RFQ? So a request for a proposal or a request for a quote. So typically that goes out. So if I'm looking for a certain type of work, maybe I have to choose IT consulting. I'll send out an RFP or a request for a proposal, and I'm asking you, hey, how would you do this? Give me a possibility of pricing for this, and what's your statement of work? I'll give you the information. Typically, it could change, it could vary depending on the type of work. But typically, you would have a pre-bid meeting, and then you would have a time, that's a time when you can ask a lot of questions. There's always a platform. Everybody is supposed to have access to the same questions. So you want to get on those pre-bid meetings and attend those pre-bid meetings if there's one. And then you would also fill it out. Always ask questions. If you've never submitted one, or if you never worked for that company or in that industry, find somebody with experience to help you. You have to be very detailed, because answering a question vaguely will get you eliminated from a RFP. A lot of times the RFP moves on and turns to a RFQ. We get a proposal, now we know exactly what we want, tell us how much it's gonna cost, which is the request for quote. And then after the quote comes, if you're selected, you do a contract. And when you're doing the contract, you can get red lines, go back and forth. The contract is too difficult, that also may be a chance for you to be eliminated. Not saying you just accept everything and not protect yourself, but if contract negotiations become too difficult, then that may be a reason that you would also fall out of the process, right? So know what that bidding process looks like for the company. I want to make sure I touch on everything in here, because I feel like I'm missing something. Any questions about how to respond to that? So, and be honest. Don't say that you can do something you cannot do. If you can partner with somebody when you do an RFP, great. But don't say that you can do something you cannot do, because that is the quickest way to never be able to do business again. So don't overpromise. If you're gonna subcontract out work, make sure that you have a good relationship with those subcontractors. So when you're subcontracting, you're saying it's you. So if I hire somebody to do, if I hire this gentleman here to come work for me, everybody's gonna think he is me in my company. Nobody's gonna separate the two if he's subcontracting. Right, so when you go out and you put this information, make sure you understand what you're bidding onto. The RFP or the RFQ is vague, ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. It's a theme, ask questions. Any other questions?
In your experience, when you were looking for a supplier, how long is the process between RFPs and contracting someone?
Oh, it could be a year, it could be 6 months. It just depends on, the contract, and then also, if the supplier is brand new to us, we're gonna do a little more due diligence, right? Sometimes it's a few months, depending on like when we're ready to get going, but sometimes it can be 6 months. So, we have Amy in the room. Amy, what would you say?
I'm in, I work in Chardae group and supply chain, I'm a commodity manager that supports our supply. It's really just depend on the scope of the project and what we're doing, the timeliness. I will say, especially on the power supply side, I'm sure it's the same on the T&D side. We'll try to communicate response times as much as possible. And so if we've gone through an RFP, sometimes it's 2 weeks as a response period, sometimes it's a month or more. We'll communicate those timelines based on the project. And then if you get to the point where you're selected for the project and looking at those contract negotiations, just in like as prompt as you can get. And sometimes, our template contracts pretty lengthy, so it takes sometimes as much to do your, the appropriate due diligence, but just timely responsiveness, in anything. And just kind of, talking to your commodity manager or your buyer about what you're working on, about what the timing requirements are. And so if they say, no, we just want to get this done in a year, you can adjust accordingly, but we need to get this executed in 6 months. We're having those conversations so you can accommodate appropriately and we'll work with you as well. So there's really no magic answer for how long these things take.
Yeah, but it could take a while. So a lot of times, if somebody says you want an RFP, that does not mean contract work starts tomorrow, you get a check, it can take time. So patience. Patience is the key, right? And questions. All right, any other questions?
So I own a catering company. So I'm trying to get into and build my corporate catering market. So what would be the best way for somebody like me that's more in the service industry and not trying to benefit your customers and more your employees and your team and your meetings and all of those things? What's the best way or some suggestions on how I get to those people that have the immediate needs to where I'm not on Easy Cater and things like that, but I need
Find someone in the company who needs to pay. Honestly, networking with people, and then the next time we have a meeting, somebody said, "Oh, let's try this company, Love on a Plate."
Yes.
Love on a Plate, and she was at this event, and she has great reviews on pasta. Let's give her a try and see how she does on something small before we do something big. We cater lunch. Not a whole lot, but enough.
Okay.
So it's definitely talking to the right person, handing out your business cards, continuing to show up to events.
I do a lot of networking, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the next luncheon after this too. So I do a lot of networking, so you'll probably see me often. And now I make sure I network with my t-shirt on, so if I can't introduce myself, everybody still can see who I am. And like I'm starting to step into rooms, like yesterday I went to the launch party. And it was like, oh, I saw like 3 people, like, oh, I've seen you before. They don't know my name. But they're like, oh, I know Love Wanna Play. So I'm starting to become, not necessarily popular, but my name is, I guess, starting to be mentioned in some rooms that I haven't been in. So I need to find a better way and an easier way to get into those rooms physically so I can bring it.
Literally keep showing up with something like catering. Demetria's gonna talk later about catering, but literally for you, my suggestion would be to keep showing up, keep handing out the business card, maybe bring some food if you're gonna I'm gonna talk about this here in a second. I'm gonna talk about building those relationships. Always take the opportunity. If somebody says, do you want to present about your business? Always say yes. I host supplier events, and you'd be surprised at the amount of people that come to a networking event and do not want to talk about their business in front of the room. Like, take the time. And then, if you're coming to a networking event, ask them, do they have a security caterer yet? Do you have anybody bringing pastries for breakfast? You know, put yourself out there. It may be uncomfortable a little bit, but you never know if they say yes. And then they try your pound cake, your breakfast pound cake, and it's the best breakfast pound cake they ever had. Now you're getting breakfast pound cake every Friday, right? To that. And then somebody's like, oh, well, do you make lunch? Do you make dinner? Do you do private dinners? Right? Like, it starts to just grow and build. And so, attending those industry events are key. When we host our supplier days, we try to make them for commodity that we need. So we did an IT one, we did a fleet one, we're gonna actually do a marketing one. So we'll invite those key suppliers, but when you come to those events, you have to be ready. Sometimes it's okay to just come and see what it's about and to have a whole work of that if you're not ready. But when you get the work, and you have to be ready, because the worst thing you can do.
I came a little late, so we're on OG's website, contracts got a little bit of.
So we don't, right now today, we don't publicly post those just because we just don't. But I think if they're over a certain dollar value, we have to post them. Everything is not new, we only have to bid over, is it $100,000?
That's our policy.
Our policy is if it's over $100,000, we have to bid. Everything under $100,000 does not have to be bid. And so it's not always clear what opportunities are currently available. But we put you in touch with your commodity business that you have. Staff, and so we'll put you in touch with the commodity manager, and then they'll talk to you and kind of tell you when the next opportunities are coming, and kind of just stay in touch, and they let you know. But then also work within the business and let people know who you are. Is it IT staff? Is it IT staffing or?
All staffing.
So just stay in touch with people, meet with maybe people in HR, if they have like needs to like contract work and stuff, just different business units around the company. So we don't publicly post our upcoming bids, but.
For staffing, we do have a process where we work through a company and we list open opportunities. So you have to get approved to be on that distribution list, and then once you're approved on that distribution list, then you would see staffing needs that we have, and
So-
have an opportunity to fill those.
Is the first step getting on a vendor form first,
Yeah.
and then, okay.
But I'll put you in touch with the commodity manager, I'll actually, after that, but I have to get you a business card, and I believe they have my information sent out in the, invite, so you can always feel free to reach out to me there too. But I'll take the business card, and I'll put you in touch with our commodity manager staff. And so, the other thing is engage decision makers. I do not buy much. 99.9% of the time, I am not the person who makes the decision on if we use your business. So it's really important to meet with those stakeholders, meet with those budget holders to understand what they need and to stay in the forefront of their mind, right? So a lot of times people feel like they're nagging or they don't have any opportunity and they just make one cold call and then we never hear from you again. I'm not saying call every single day, but you have to find ways to engage. And ways to engage include going to those industry events, showing up to networking events. Because a lot of times I'm at a networking event, somebody will say, hey, I know such and such that works at your company, you know, I talked to him. And then I can help refresh that relationship. Or even just sending, I think I'll talk about this later, sending check-ins, like, hey, this is something our company has done for one of your peers. Is this something that you would be interested in? So those kind of things about engaging other people within the business. There's so many business units within the company that one department might be using somebody for something and another department might be using someone else for the same service. So just keep engaging, stay visible, and be proactive.
Add some to that. Even like if, because she mentioned, Chardae mentioned earlier, if you don't respond to RFP or don't say you do more than you can do, right? You're not going to oversell yourself because you don't want to underdeliver. But it means a lot to me when I'm evaluating RFPs. When a company responds, even if they can't submit a proposal for that, this isn't my wheelhouse, I don't have the, you know, the bandwidth right now to do the project, to formally respond to the RFP, even if the response is, this isn't a good fit for us right now. Lets me know that you've received it, that you're interested in working with us, that you're being honest about you can't do something, and saying a little bit like, we don't have this experience yet, we're working on it, we're really busy, and we're in the project schedule, things like that. That engagement, even, the engagement is, no, we're not gonna bid on your project, but it still keeps it that conversation and lets me know that you're interested in working with us to keep you on the bid list, just not today, just not this right now. Like, and then I know, like, okay, I'll have it next time, and it's just like that few extra minutes and that response, like, that's that building relationship engagement she's talking about.
And then also, the person that you're speaking with, everybody's different, but ask them the preferred way to communicate. So some people are not good with email, some people are not good with text, some people don't like meetings. I love the 15-minute check-in because I can see you on Teams, we can chit-chat. It doesn't always have to be about business, it can just be a check-in, hey, just letting you know we're still here, these are some things we've done, we've improved in this area, we're going to be in this industry. You know, it doesn't have to be, here's my new sales deck every time we meet, right? Like, it could just be a quick check-in, letting you know I'm available still. But that's person specific, like, I like the check-ins, emails for me can seem kind of short, so I really try to take time to craft those emails so that they don't come off short. But email is fine as well. LinkedIn is not my go-to for messaging or reaching out. It's just, for me personally, it's not. For other people, love LinkedIn. So just ask the person that you're talking with what is their preferred way and kind of keep that in their CRM tool, like how do they like to chat. Any questions about connecting and how to build those relationships? So,
Okay, how would somebody find out about your networking events for OGD or different
so whenever we have them, I always advertise them. I send out that vendor form. That's the first place where I go. I search that database. And if it fits your commodity, I'll send you an email from there. I send it out, I post it on LinkedIn, and then also I'll reach out to our NGOs like SMSDC and SBA and things like that. So it gets pushed out quite a bit. So, but first place is that vendor database. Any other questions? I just want to say, like, I saw a stat that said a person needs to see an advertisement 3 to 7 times before it sticks. So think about when you're at a networking event and you meet hundreds of people, you're probably not going to remember every single person there. So find a way to set yourself apart, find a way to follow up after the fact and stay in touch. And this is another, I say, benefit to joining organizations and continue showing up. When I go to those events, I know the people that I'm going to see there. I've met them, we talk, we chat. It's not about business. We just get to genuinely know each other. I know their name, I know their company name, and I know what they do. And so I've seen them that 3 to 7 times. I know their business. I recognize their logo. I recognize their names. If I meet you one time, if I never see you again out today, and then a bid opportunity comes up, or somebody says, hey, Do you need a caterer? I haven't seen you since today. I haven't seen your business license today. I'm not gonna think about you in a year or 2 years, right? So stay visible. When you have the opportunity to present, take it. If you have an opportunity to apply for an award, somebody nominates you, submit the proposal to, submit the document to be possibly recommended for. Like, don't downplay yourself, stay visible. I just can't stress the human aspect of relationships, right? Like, I remember a supplier telling me, oh, I lost a contract because I didn't take them to lunch. I don't think he lost the contract because he didn't take them to lunch. I think he lost the contract because they hadn't seen him in a year, the whole year that he had the contract, right? So that's a time to check in. It's a time, if you're already doing business, it's a time to check in. If you're not doing business, it's a time to just check the temperature and see where they're at. Make sure that you're in their mind when they're doing their budgets. And so those are the things that really, really can make a difference when you're trying to build relationships with people within the organization. Any questions about like networking or organizations? And then also industry specific. If you want to get in retail, if you want to get in oil and gas, if you want to get in utility industry, find those industry specific events, please, because that's where you're going to find out, you're going to learn a lot, you're going to meet a ton of people in that industry, and then all it takes is one person to say yes, the smallest project, and now you have someone that can vouch for you to do more.
Can I ask a question since there's a lot of people in this room? Because you said I should bring samples, and I've been thinking about that, it's been heavy on my mind. But I don't, because some events already have food and things like that. But would it be weird if I showed up with a basket full of little peach cobbler cups? Like, you know, to pass, like, how do I, how do I step into the room?
I think you definitely have to read the room and know what your audience that you're getting into. If you have a booth, if you ever have an opportunity to do a booth or a table, take it and have your pastries, or I don't know what your specialty is, if you can have something that's sealed up that people can take with them. They may not be hungry, but they may take it in their purse or when they're on their ride home. So I think it definitely depends on the vibe of the setting. But I think you have to, for you, if you want to give tastings, you don't have to give tastings. But if you want to, I suggest when they have the option to do a booth or a table, to take it.
So I know at our facility, someone has called, talked to our administrative assistant, said, hey, I'd love to bring you lunch tomorrow, and introduce myself, and they did. And that's the person that typically is going to handle the catering for our events. And I was waiting for that person to introduce himself, let him sample the product. Just walking up to a building, may not get inside. Although if you're carrying food, you probably will. But yeah, I think those are creative ways to be able to make yourself known to the people that are actually doing that.
Okay, thank you.
You just gotta find the right person.
Right, find an actor for the Nelson, right?
Hi, does OKC provide any small business grants or anything like that?
We don't provide small business grants, like in a sense.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we don't provide just like direct grants. We do have a supplier diversity program, and I wanted to shout him out today, but I think a lot of them, Dusty's here. Oh, Johnny is here too. We have a supplier diversity steering committee who is very proactive in making sure that we're using small and diverse businesses in our processes. So I just want to thank them for just holding up our value of diversity within our supply chain. So it's been a difficult year for diversity, I'm sure you guys know, so I really appreciate our team for just sticking to those values. And that team is made up of directors and VPs, so it's a true, something that we really value and that we're trying to make an effort to continue to do. Any other questions before I think next? I talked about this already. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Greg Jones. Greg is a consultant with the Small Business Development Center in Oklahoma City. He leverages his extensive expertise to support local entrepreneurs and small business owners. He actively participates in various initiatives aimed at enhancing economic opportunities and educational outcomes in Northeast Oklahoma City. His mission is to bridge gaps in educational resources, particularly in underserved areas, because he believes in the power of education and community collaboration to drive sustainable development. He's going to discuss demonstrating your value and credibility.
Let's go. Fantastic. Let's give Chardae a hand. Okay. All right, so I've got some notes up here talking about collaboration. Collaboration that we've had with Chardae over the last couple of years. This is an example of that. So what I get a chance to do each and every day with the Small Business Development Center is work with businesses that are looking to grow. Some of them are in business and ready to scale their business. Others are at a very ideate stage and just have an idea or a thought. And so I get a chance to work with them. SBDC is over the entire state, all 77 counties. Been around since 1984, and the reason why I am a part of that network is because I'm not by myself, number one, and I want to help businesses, but I don't know everything. And so it's about leveraging the relationships that you do have to be able to help other clients with their specific issues. So I want to say that first, and then secondly, as we think about Med Week and what Med Week represents, which is an opportunity for us, all communities, to come together and to celebrate, to educate, to inform, and for us really to figure out how we share resources. That's how this workshop came together. Med Week is coming up. Chardae I have a relationship with. Like, this is one of the things that people are always curious about is how do we do business with corporations and how do we get connected? How many of you, this is your first time being in this building? Like, right? So you probably wouldn't have had an opportunity unless for something like this. This is an opportunity for you and your eyes to get open. I love entrepreneurship. Now, Chardae was up here. I'm gonna say a whole lot of same stuff that she said, but I didn't see a lot of y'all writing things down and putting things in your phone, so I'm gonna say it again to reemphasize the importance. Somebody, hopefully, while we're sitting here, Chardae told you her name, right? 3 other people introduced themselves. Did you get their names? Have you already looked them up on LinkedIn and have you already asked them? No, okay, that's number 1. It is not weird to ask about bringing snacks and desserts and all that. It's not weird at all. I'm here today, Chardae's like, Greg, you want a table set up? So it's not weird to ask questions like that. And I'm sure Demetri will have some things to say about that in just a little bit. I want to mention about collaboration. So I'm here on SBDC. We're going to talk about demonstrating value, which I think is critically important. But also there's an ecosystem that is available to each and every one of you. Anytime you enter a room like this, before you leave, make sure that you make 2 or 3 connections. Before you walk in the door, always have in mind, I want to at least meet 2 or 3 people, okay? Now, OG&E is hosting this, and 2 or 3 people from OG&E have spoken. Make sure you meet them before you leave, right? You know their names, you know their responsibilities, and actually what they do, okay? All right, demonstrating value. She said this, and I'm going to say it again. Do you understand a little bit about that corporation's strategic goals and their plans? What is it that's important to them? Do you understand what their priorities are, right? Do you speak their language? So businesses, corporations talk KPIs, key performance indicators, ROI, return on investment. They have a language. There's common language, but you need to understand that. For some of you, these are new terms that you've never heard before. Guess what? Start a dictionary, right? Write them down. When she said this, what does that mean? I need to make sure I touch base with Chardae afterwards and ask her that question, right? Don't assume that you know. Don't just always ChatGPT something or Google it because it may be incorrect, all right? So keep that in mind as well. Building a business case for your partnership, okay? I'm gonna put her on the spot. Makiba Griffin, Makiba Design and Prints. Stand up, give me your elevator pitch.
I think that was, yeah.
Hi, my name is Makiba Griffin, and I'm the founder of Makiba Design and Prints, where we create stylish bags that celebrates diverse and unique beauty that's showing representation of themselves.
Okay, she did a good job, didn't she?
Yeah.
Great job.
You said you stand with me?
No. I said you did a great job. You did a great job. But very systematically, you should always know who you are, what you do, and be able to demonstrate that in an elevator, right? That's a great example of that right there, right? Any one of you, now don't start getting nervous, because some of you looking at me, don't get nervous. But this is what it's about in terms of being able to demonstrate your value, okay? And understanding you're building a case for the partnership that you want to have with that particular company or corporation. Be able to quantify your results. That's numbers, right? We think in numbers, revenue. We think about profit. We think about gross sales. Be able to quantify that. Show how you are different. What is different about your business? What's unique about your business? And we'll get to the UVP in just a minute. What is UVP? Anybody know? Just ask.
Unique
What is that?
value proposition.
Unique value proposition. That's right. I'm going to throw stuff out at you on purpose. Like, you may not know it. Just ask. What is that, Greg? That's unique value proposition. Right? That's important. And then she talked about this, but I want to reemphasize as well. Clear communication. Making sure that you are transparent, you're honest about what you can and can't do. Okay? This is not the time to let me make up something. Let me try to make it sound better than it really is. Because most of us know when you do that, guess what happens? It doesn't happen, right? And so make sure that you're very honest as well. All right, demonstrating credibility. First thing there is using testimonials. These are real world stories. What have you done? How have you performed? What are some of the successes that you have? Tell a story, okay? Some of you that know me know that I have 3, now they're young adult children. Had a lawn business for a number of years. And I tell a lot of lawn stories. And we would cut the same lawn over and over and over and over again. Why do we do that? We got really, really good at that. What does that do? That builds credibility. People need to know, corporations need to know, that you can do what you say you're going to do, okay? And so that's by telling real stories. Whether you have relevant certifications, do you have opportunities where you have actually further educate yourself or your team? Talk about those things. Those things are very, very much important. And then also making sure that you demonstrate yourself in a very professional way. Okay? What is your digital presence? Like if I had a list of all the attendees, I'd be looking at your LinkedIn profile. Greg, I don't have a LinkedIn profile. Well, get a LinkedIn profile. Why is that important? Because a lot of businesses that do business with businesses are looking at your LinkedIn profile. You have a Google business page. Do you have a website? Right? And whether you do or you don't, these are things that you need to make sure you consider. What is your professional presentation out there? The thing now is, I'm going to look you up and see if you're in the news. Am I reading positive stories about you or negative stories about you? This is all important because, as Chardae said, you are representing that company. You have a contract with that company. You are now a representation or the face of that company. And that is very important. And then lastly, I said UVP, creating a value proposition. What is that unique thing about you and your business and what you do, right? You're a caterer, right? You're going to get a chance to meet Demetra a little later. Don't be afraid to talk to other people that are in your same industry. This is not the silo world. Hey, we're against each other, right? Faithfully Fits back there. She does protein snacks. There are always ways to work together, okay? Always ways. Matter of fact, what I've also learned is there have been people that have come a little further than you are, a little bit more experience than you have, and you can always learn from them as well. Remember, what problem is your business solving? Your business has to be solving a problem. Corporations are looking for people that solve problems. Make sure you know what that is and you understand how that fits with that corporation's portfolio. Okay? And Chardae did a great job asking questions. Got any questions? No questions? I must be doing a good job. Okay, keep going. I want you to become a reliable and valuable business partner. Okay? Reliable means that from the beginning, you do what you say you're going to do. In the middle of it, you do what you're going to do. And at the end of it, all the way through, you have to be very, very consistent. I love to give the example of I really believe that life and growing your business is not like a ramp. It's more like stairs, okay? A ramp, you slowly go up, and people say, yeah, I'm climbing. I think it's more like stairs. You learn some things and go through some things, and that builds the foundation for the next step, right? You learn some more things, it builds a foundation for the next step. So I think about growing your business in steps, okay? Think about how you grow your relationship with a corporation, starting where you are with the hopes to grow your relationship. That's how it works with businesses, that's how it works with corporations. You can't jump in the big pool like some of y'all love to swim. Like, I remember at 8 years old, they just threw me in the pool, right? And guess what happens? I went straight to the bottom. Now, gladly I came back up to the top. But I didn't learn to swim it took time. And that's the same way as well. Understand that corporations have expectations, they have compliance, they have rules that they have to follow. Your job, your responsibility is to find out what that is and to make sure that you are in compliance with those things. Okay? Does anybody remember what Chardae said at the very beginning? She said there's a certain type of insurance that you need to get. You remember what it was? Cyber insurance, right? I wrote it down. Cyber insurance. She said it. You didn't write it down, write it down. You need to have cyber insurance, right? So that would be one of my points of questions. Okay, Chardae, tell me more about that. Okay? Do I understand what that actually is and why that is a requirement that might be with compliance with their rules as well? Understanding that they have deliverable expectations. Do they have reporting requirements? Does the corporation have reporting requirements? Well, this is what I'm going to tell you. Whether they have reporting requirements or not, you should do some reporting. Okay? Check in with them. Let them know how you're doing. Let them know, is things going smoothly? Are you having problems? Are you having issues, right? And so it's really a responsibility to be able to do that as well. And I always like to say this. Share the good news, okay? Share the good news. Those of you that are here today, you learned something today, share it with somebody else, okay? Information is free, right? And the next time, guess what? Chardae's like, hey, we want to do something like this again. Guess what? Invite your friends, somebody else that you should also be in this room. Let's pack this room out so where, guess what? We got to get a bigger room. We got to get a bigger space. Standing room only. Information is free. All right, next. Delivering consistent quality and service. Building customer trust is important. Do what you say you're going to do. Make sure you have your own quality controls in place. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay? That's very much similar when I talked about starting at the beginning and being consistent all the way through. And by golly, exceed expectations. This is not the time, okay? Because I think about our younger generation. Just gonna do the bare minimum. I want you to get that out of your head. I want you to exceed expectations. Okay? And in a minute, you're going to hear from Demetra, who exceeds, in my mind, expectations. That's why I think she's been so successful. And I talk about several of you in the room that do that. Doing enough is not enough. You got to do more than what is required. And that helps to build a positive reputation. Positive reputation. I really believe the world gets smaller. You know, she talked about a supplier list. That list can get real small if you meet some of these requirements. You do what you say you're going to do. You build trust. You build credibility. Guess what? There may be a list of 20. You're now in the top 1 or 2, right? Chardae's out. She's going to jump in on that. Jump in on that.
Now I got a question for you.
Oh, got a question?
Can you give some examples of how you can exceed expectations?
Absolutely. So I go back to my lawn stories, okay? So we go out there, we cut a yard, we look at the yard and say, man, wow, you know, they need their bushes cut. Wow, they really need their driveway, cleaned up. They need a power wash. So it's seeing something that you have the capability of doing, you see the actual need, and then you offer that particular service, okay? Sometimes in responding to an RFP, okay, you would find out that here's what they're asking for, right? And I need to make sure that I respond. is it okay if I also talk about some other things that we have the capability of doing? Okay? Now, let's say I get the contract and I'm doing the job, and while I'm doing the job, I see some other things that need to be done. What do I do about that within the scope, right? I communicate that, and I see if I can go ahead and take care of those things, okay? That's an example of being able to go that little extra mile, doing a little bit extra, right? So that people understand and see that. Yes, ma'am.
A free and easy way to exceed expectations is increased communication. So let's say you awarded a job, you get the contract where you're frequently communicating. This, I review the contract, and I send the red lines to my legal department, we should have a response in the next couple of weeks. Just like little things, we're bidding on the project, keeping the commodity manager, your project manager informed, this little rather the project. People like, and this is just in general, to have information without it being asked. So anytime, it's information, it's just like Chardae was talking about earlier, the quick touch in, you know, this is what we're working on, this is where we're at. We finished the project, we'll be there, we have the order, we'll be there Tuesday morning to deliver. You know, we respond to the RFP, we hope you need our staffing services, we have the order for the bags there, we have the design, here's the layout done, we'll send it for production once we get a confirmation of acceptance. All of those things, just little, where you're communicating more than the expectations of what they want. They'll say check in A, B, C, you're gonna add D and F. You're gonna add A1, A2, A3, whatever it may be.
I saw some of y'all writing that down. That's a key right there. She just gave me a freebie. That's great. Thank you for that. Other suggestions? Anybody else have suggestions of how you can exceed? Examples. What can you do extra? What do you do extra now in your business to exceed expectations?
I just like that you specifically mentioned going the extra mile, like communicating about it, because you always want to be compensated. You don't want to go the extra mile and then be out money. So because I think a lot of us who are really passionate about, let me just do this and, you know, maybe next time it'll get covered or something. But I think it's, you know, you gotta get compensated, but that communication part is.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just say, you don't have to do the work for free, it's just bring it to the attention, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so don't feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't offer your services for free, but bringing it to the attention, because I may not know that my driveway could look better. I may not know that he could do some treatment in my bushes. So just bringing it up, or I may think it's out of my price range, and it might actually not be as much as I thought. Maybe $5, I thought it was gonna be $50. So like, just communicating that, but no, don't give your services away for free.
Yes, exactly.
Anybody else? Okay, good. All right, let's keep rolling. Communicating openly, resolving issues professionally. We talked about open communication, prompt issue resolution. When there is an issue, don't be afraid of addressing the issue. Address the issue as soon as you know about the issue. And guess what? Challenges come up, and there's always opportunities to prevent those things from happening, but also escalate that, redirect. How are we going to correct that? Is there a process that we need to improve upon? There's something that we need to do differently on our side as a supplier, right? Understanding that process, right? Here's the thing, everybody has their own process. And at times, those processes feel like they become very difficult. But if it's my process, I'm very comfortable with that. You just don't know my process. Your role as a supplier is to understand that corporation's process. It's your responsibility to understand their process. And who are the key people in their organization that can help you understand that process, okay? Now, I keep picking on Chardae. She goes up here with a cup of coffee. Anybody know what kind of coffee she is? You might want to find out. Is she like cream? Is she like black? Like there's these little bitty things that if I had to call her tomorrow and say, hey, can we go have coffee, and I do that, all of a sudden there's a connection there. Okay, you make connections, right? That's very, very important when you think about that, especially when you're trying to resolve an issue. Sometimes everything's not always going to go right, but clearly communicating that as well and having prompt resolutions as well. At the end there, it talks about collaborating. She said it, attending supplier meetings. But I don't know what the meetings are. Ask, when is the next time you're having a supplier meeting? When is the next event? right? They talked about commodity managers, right? Can you describe to me a little bit about this corporation, this organization, so I understand the different areas and where my business might fit in? Can you make a connection to me to that particular manager or project manager? So can you inform me when the next supplier event is coming up? May I attend, right? Try to get here early, arrive early, right? Purposely, we didn't start the meeting right at 9 o'clock on purpose, so there was an opportunity for networking, right? Opportunity for you to get to know other people that were in the room. Now, I looked quickly at OG&E's website. Did you know that there are economic development insights on their website? That they have local toolkits on their website? They have a business growth report on their website. So corporations a lot of times have information, right, that they have on their website. They're posting on their LinkedIn, right? Are you following that so you understand a little bit about that company and that corporation, and you can better speak their language. And lastly, it says they're participating in their ecosystem, which is what we're doing right now, right? They have an ecosystem, participate in it. Find yourself valuable and available to be able to do that. All right, now here comes the fun part. I'm getting ready to sit down. And we get a chance now to hear from an actual supplier. And so I've got the official bio I'm going to read. I got my bio. All right, so first I'm going to say, founded in 2002 by the dynamic mother and daughter team, Miss Ruby. We love Miss Ruby and Demetra. B&B Catering, it goes on to talk about the kitchen and the Bryant Center. Has grown from humble beginnings in Ruby's, this is her mom's garage, to one of Oklahoma City's premier catering event service companies. Today, under the leadership of Demetra E. Bailey, president, the company continues to deliver exceptional food and service to clients ranging from private events to major corporate partners such as IBM and Sonic, and so many more. Inspired by family, resilience, and creativity, B&B Catering, affectionately known as the Queen Bee and Baby Bee, was built on the belief that great food and exceptional service creates lasting experiences. The company's success led to the opening of the Bryant Center in 2014, and the kitchen, which is their restaurant, by B&B Catering in 2020, further cementing its reputation for innovation and excellence. For more than 20 years, B&B Catering has been known for its creative approach, fresh ingredients, fine cuisine, and personalized service. From intimate gatherings to elegant galas, the team takes pride in helping clients design, plan, and execute events that reflect their unique style and budget, always striving to provide the best service at the best price. I'm going to add to this. Demetra is a community advocate. She is a neighbor. She's a friend. She has endured many trials and tests. I also love the fact that she's a second chance employer. She believes in superior service, not only fresh ingredients, exceptional value. I mean, I'm going to say the girl's food is good. It is delicious. And it is consistently that way. And it's amazing. I don't know anyone else. I don't have anyone else that I know that has a catering business, as a restaurant. They kind of go together, but also has an event space. She can do all of that. Her love has always been, she'll tell you, it's always been catering. But for years, she was like, when, oh Lord, are you going to come up and get a restaurant? She finally did that. And so it is a blessing. So if you have not been to the kitchen by B&B Catering, you have not experienced anything that Demetra has done, her team has done, I implore you to do so. So this time I'm going to introduce, and let's give her a hand, Demetra. Give it to him. Give it to him.
I don't have any peach cobbler, I'm sorry, though, we do have coffee. Thank you, Greg, and I think he was talking about my 10 acres when you were talking about that lawn business. Yeah, you and I wish the kids were not.
One of our first commercial customers, Demetra gave them a job to cut their 10 acres.
Yes, and they did a great job, and they started doing the grass, and next thing you know was the parking lot, and then it was the flower beds. So it really was, y'all went above and beyond, my expectations. So, thank you for the, that was a nice little bio. I forgot some of that stuff on there. But again, my name is Demetra Bailey, and I am the proud owner of B&B Catering, also the kitchen and the Bryant Center. They say, what do we cook? And I say anything from collard greens to caviar and everything in between. So it's just been a pleasure, the journey that my company, my family, and our business have been on. And it's just one of those things of a leap of faith. We talked about in the presentation about going above and beyond the customer's expectation. And Chardae, you don't know this story, but we were on the OG&E readiness team. That was a beautiful contract that we garnered years ago. And this is, you guys are familiar with the Alpha building, the community Alpha building. The Alpha is called the old Garden Oaks Elementary School. Okay, so that was headquarters for us. We were there for 14 years because of a partnership that I garnered with Community Action Agency. Community Action Agency, I started with the Black Chamber of Commerce back in 2002, 2003, and I garnered a relationship with Community Action Agency. They came to me and said, hey, Demetra, we've got an idea. We've got an old school that we're closing down, but it's still in good shape. Would you like to rent the space for your catering business? Oh, well, of course I would. And so for 14 years, I leased space out of that school, which became our headquarters. So we're doing an event. It's storm because OG&E is going to call the readiness team when the weather's bad. And so they need to know that they have a reliable, dependable caterer that can deliver in the storm. It doesn't matter if it's ice or cold, it doesn't matter. We have to be there because they have to feed those guys that have to go out and get our electricity back on. So first, when we see the weather change, I'm literally in Vegas with my girlfriends and I'm watching the weather and I'm like, before we could get downstairs to party, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to call this trip short. And so we're changed our clothes, we go down, and I'm telling my girlfriends, I gotta get back on the plane, I gotta get back home. Storms are coming, which I know OG is gonna call me. And they're like, you're kidding. I'm like, no, I'm serious. So I give them my portion, you know, we gotta split it up, how we split it up. And I gotta get back on the plane and get back to Oklahoma because I know the storms are coming. And I know OG&E is calling, and I know they've contracted me to be dependable and reliable. I have to be. I get back, I got my team, we're together. Day one, food goes out just fine. Day two, the storms get worse. So breakfast goes out, the van literally gets stuck coming back from OG&E. We call the tow truck gets stuck, trying to get the van. I'm telling the team, keep cooking, I'll fix it, keep cooking, keep cooking, keep cooking, because they gotta have lunch. Tow truck stuck. Call my contact, keep in contact with your contract people. I call them, I send them the picture. Guess what? The van is stuck, the tow truck's stuck, but we have food. I call the next tow truck because my thought was, hey, I can call, how many trips can I get towed? I get the tow truck to come and get the second van to tow it where? OG&E. I said, okay, I can get you food. I can even send the people, but you have to get my people home. They said, no. You bring us the food, you keep your people at headquarters, and we'll get the van later. So the van stayed at OG&E full of food for 2 days. Dependable, reliable. You do what you have to do what you have to do. And that's the story that I like to tell people. It doesn't really matter. It's us as small businesses, and then we're a little darker shade than most. So you're gonna have to go above and beyond. You're gonna have to be better than the next person in the room doing the same thing that you're doing. What separates you from the next person? Is my food that much better? Yeah, it's good. But what makes me different? Because I'm gonna give up a girls trip. I'm gonna fly home and I'm gonna get the job done, no matter what it takes, okay? So that's the thing, for you, the caterer, yeah, bring those samples, okay? Dress the part, be who you wanna be, let people meet you, let people taste how good that plate is. And then they'll call you, okay? So just don't overpromise yourself, make sure you can do whatever you say that you can do, and then just do it well. And that's one of the things that we really stress with our team. We've been blessed to continue to garner those relationships. We are the catering company inside of Metro Technology Centers from a relationship that was built years ago when Dr. Portis was alive. Dr. Portis had reached out to me when we were at headquarters, said, hey, can you come over and look at our catering department? We're having some really bad troubles. We need help. I'll get over there and I'm like, well, how bad, like, how soon do you need this help? Well, we have an event on Friday, today is Wednesday. I'm like, oh, I need a lot of help, quick. Okay, so we jump in and we, fix the problems. And that contract ended, everybody parted ways, but we're all still good with each other. No hard feelings, nothing. Because the world is big and we have to collaborate and we have to help and support each other. And who knows, 10 years later, where are we again? Back at Metro Technology Centers, doing the same exact thing, but now we're opening a cafe, and now we've got a food truck, and now we've got the catering. That's just one business opportunity, but we're doing the same thing down in Moore Norman Technology Center. So one person that was at Metro Tech is now in Moore, and guess who they call? D&B Catering. What do they need? A dependable, reliable, quality company that can deliver. So it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by just happen chance, but you have to meet people. You have to stay in contact with people, and you have to do what you say you can do. Like, let your word be your bond, okay? Promise a little bit, give a lot. That's a big thing. If you call and order catering for me, and you say, okay, I got a budget, and let's say it's a funeral, and we just want some chicken, and it's about 150 people, I'm gonna hear the story, and I also hear the need. You probably need more than just some chicken, because they've probably been getting chicken all week. They don't want no chicken, but that's what you can afford. And I'm talking to my team, okay, what else can we put? What else can we give and provide this family to make this event what they really want it to be? So if I gave you some hot roast or some chicken fried steak or smothered pork chop, you're gonna be happy, right? And that's what it is. You just go a little bit above and beyond, give people a little bit more, and I promise you, those doors will open, the opportunities will come your way, and it won't stop, okay? So those are my little tidbits. We opened that restaurant 2020 in the midst of COVID. And I never wanted to open a restaurant, but I had to open the restaurant because I had to keep our business alive. We couldn't do catering, we couldn't come to any corporations because they weren't working, they weren't in the office, they weren't needing catering because they didn't have meetings, they didn't have a purpose. So we had to figure out a way to stay in business, and the restaurant kept us alive. So when we opened, yes ma'am?
Where is your restaurant?
We're at 4709 North Lincoln Boulevard. We're just across the street from the Jamil Steakhouse and the old Pizza Hut. Are you guys familiar with that? So I probably would love to talk to you about your staffing agency, because one of our biggest hurdles is, as a small company growing, you need people. And staffing right now is probably one of the largest hurdles that we continue to face. We just had to start closing on Mondays and Tuesdays so that I don't wear out the few faithful employees that we do have.
And it's funny, some of your stories and some of, I have similar stories. So it's kind of hitting home as far as emergency happening, you still have to deliver on top of, there's a change in culture and society, so now I have to pivot to stay alive. So I get all of those. I'll talk to you. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we all kind of share the similar stories. We may be in different industries, but it doesn't change. Any other questions? Somebody else? No? wonderful journey. To be able to be a part of a corporation that means so much to not just me, but our community. You guys do so much to support the community, so I really appreciate you. And thank you, also great.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, Mr. Gregg, we appreciate you so much for your presentations. I just hope that the key takeaway today is that building those relationships, build them organically, attending events, find the industry that you want to break into, and find the relevant events for those. Keep yourself visible. Never be afraid to bring retreats. Never be afraid to talk about your business and what you do. And on that note, I just want to thank MED for allowing us the opportunity to be here. I want to thank our OGME members for coming out and supporting, and Dusty Lab for Dusty, and our VP of Supply Chain over there, John Whitfield, he is here, and they are really big supporters of our supplier diversity program, and we just really appreciate that level of support. So we just thank you guys again, and be safe going to the next event. Don't forget to get your bingo card signed, and if you have any questions, we're here for a little bit longer. If you want business cards or anything like that, just go for your network. Thank
How's your daughter doing? Is she still there helping? Awesome! Okay, take care.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So you,
Well, you've seen the girls go in and out.
Yeah, I can't work it out, yeah,
Well, we've been in that building for. I know exactly. As soon as I see it, I didn't even have to read it, but I see that. Yes, sir. We even have contract with the city of Phoenix, but it took almost 3 years to even get that contract.